Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Despicable Me 3, featuring the voices of Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig, and Trey Parker, and directed by not one, not two, but three different directors. Eric Guillen, something like that, Kyle Balda, and Pierre Coffin. Now, before I get into this review, I have to say, I saw this twice, and both times, I had a pretty much full of kids audience, and not only that, it's an animated movie, but there's more, and there were both over 100 of them in the theaters. So what did I think about this movie? Let's get into it, shall we? I do like the Minions singing the Illumination theme song, and then it ends up with Bob at the end of the studio, and then it leads up to the opening of the movie. Balthazar Brat, voiced by Trey Parker, who's the creator of South Park, which kind of funny because he's in this movie, is a former child star and says throughout the movie, "I have been a bad boy." And I thought, you think? That character is so annoying. When Lucy smooshes the name Gru and Lucy, smashed together, that's not clever. That's just dumb. Gruesy? Mixing it together? Oh my god. This movie's worse than the other two. Balthazar Brat's heist music is Michael Jackson's song, I'm bad, like in the trailer. Like, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, is this going to be worse than the other three? Or maybe it will be, but I don't know. But it's a bad heist music song, so I'll say that much right now. The dance-off between Balthazar and Gru, voiced by Steve Carell, was, oh my god, I'm not laughing one little bit, because it happened twice in this movie. One at the beginning, at the opening, and then one at the end, with the final battle, which I'll get to. And oh man, I'm not laughing one little bit, but hey, it's PG rated. They can't use physical violence because every time Gru throws a punch or a kick, he misses Balthazar. And I mean, it's not physical violence. I'm okay with that, but what I'm not okay with is they did it twice in this movie, and it got really annoying. Cyrus Ramsbottom, voiced by Steve Coogan, is retiring from the AVL for good, and what is his replacement? It's a girl, or a woman, let me say, called Melanie Da Vinci, voiced by Jenny Slate, who was in The Secret Life of Pets, and Alvin and the Chipmunks, the third one, Chipwrecked. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Is a bad replacement for Cyrus, because she fires both Gru and Lucy, voiced by Kristen Wiig. And, oh my god, thank god we only had one scene with her. If I had to feature a movie with her, she would get really annoying really fast. The girls, Margot, Edith, and Agnes are back and very different than usual in the other two films. I guess, I'll describe it. Margot is more stubborn, and Edith is more, adventurous and just obnoxious, and Agnes is ready to find a unicorn who she finds as a goat later on in the film. Mel quits on Gru, and as well as the other minions quit on Gru because he doesn't want to go back to villainy, and they do. That's kind of a bad storyline for Gru and the minions, because yeah, they should really get back to villainy, especially when we get to that later on in the film. Just, yeah, kind of bad plot of the movie, I should say, part of it. Especially when Gru is a terrible liar with the girls, Lucy, and his brother Drew, who is also voiced by Steve Carell, and I will get to in a minute or two. Gru is a very terrible liar at this point. When he tells these white lies, just terrible. The humor in here is much worse than the second film and in the Minions movie. I kind of wish that they pulled up the same humor as the first film, which that's not going to happen. And By the way, I have a question. How come Agnes finds a fluffy, sells her fluffy unicorn? That's just so sad to me. It makes me cry because she wanted that thing so badly. And I know she wanted to help Gru because he got fired with Lucy on the AVL, but still. Don't sell your things just to help them out. They're going to find another job eventually. Well, maybe she doesn't understand because she's very young, so I'll give it that. Can I just say, what is Gru's mother, voiced by Julie Andrews, doing in this movie? I think she was better off without being in this movie, like in the second film, which she kind of gets a briefing, but she doesn't speak. And I don't know, I find her character to be really pointless. And Gru's brother Drew is also voiced by Steve Carell, as I brought it up earlier, wants to be a villain like Gru was before, and his father. And because his father thinks he's a failure, and at a point at life, and just wants Gru to think about himself as a terrible side plot of this movie. It kind of makes me nuts. And why does Balthazar Brat have this show called Evil Brat from the 80s? And because it sounds like a terrible show. It's basically about him as a villain. And he says, I have been a bad boy. And it's like I brought up earlier in the show. And yeah, he made toys out of it. It's pathetic. Yeah, he's too pathetic, of a character. Just terrible. That car where Gru and Drew drive the car into the town and into the water and on the wall, that looks like fun. That reminds me of a Universal Studios Hollywood ride, because I think they should put it there because it looks like fun. I would say so myself. I like that moment of the film. Lucy forces Margot in the cheese festival town to eat this kid named, let me see if I got it right here in my notes, Nico. Bad version of cheese. And I felt bad for him, but he went a little too far now with Margot when it comes to being engaged to her. And it's like, he's too young to be married. Come on. Well, that's later in the film, but I'm discussing this now because I'm never going to bring it up again. And I gotta just be clear, this is just bad writing where, like, Margot has a bad taste in men. She's 12 years old, for crying out loud. It's too much. When we go in between, let's start with Gru, for example. His story is going, and then we go to the Minion side of the story, and it goes back and forth with one Gru, and then the other one is the Minions, and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like that. That is... No, I can't forget the movie. I didn't even forgive the Peanuts movie for that, for crying out loud. Just don't do that. It really annoys me. I love the scene where Gru and Drew pretend to be each other. Seriously, it was really funny because it made me laugh. One of them acts like Gru's version of Gru, except in a different kind of way, and same with a different kind of way for Drew. It's pretty clever. I like it. It's pretty funny. When Agnes tries to find a unicorn, and then she ends up with a goat, it was pretty cute. I like that goat. He looked like he was a cute presence in this movie, and I really hope if they ever do make a Despicable Me 4, to continue that plot line with the goat. It's pretty funny. It's cute. And it makes me want one, even though it probably won't happen because they're kind of dangerous. Well, maybe not too dangerous, but a little dangerous. Balthazar's plan of stealing a diamond so that he can destroy Hollywood for screwing him over in the 80s is a little bit of a stupid plot for a villain, but hey, I'm not going to... I will complain, because how is Hollywood going to make your entertainment other than video games and outside games or music in general? Come on, you got to think about this really quick. And then Gru and Drew try to find a way to rob him to steal the diamond, but they successfully grab it until what's his name, Balthazar, is capturing the girls. And then they go to Hollywood, which, that's kind of stupid, like I said. I do like the credit sequence of Gru and Drew pretending to be Inspector Clouseau and the Pink Panther from the Pink Panther. It's pretty clever the way to end the movie, because the movie ends with Drew taking off as a villain and Gru pretending to be Inspector Clouseau. So I think it was great. I like the way it ended, and I also like the way how the sequence turned out. So yeah, that was good. So it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 4.9 out of 10. It's harmless for kids, but the humor is much worse than the second film and the Minions film. I just can't like it as much as the first two, Despicable Me's and the Minions movie. So I'd like to thank you guys very much for joining me for the Despicable Me retrospective series. So until next time...